Good evening, everybody. I'm Ron Patton, executive producer of Ground Zero Clyde Lewis. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another exciting Ground Zero Lounge where the paranormal and the parapolitical collide. Clyde's been doing this for, I don't know, 20 years or so. And we just want to give our thanks to Steve from Paradise Bar here for doing such a great job of having us here and his gracious hospitality. So tonight I would like to introduce to you, Clyde has something very interesting tonight. He always does, but tonight especially because it's something actually we had a show about several months ago, and now it's in the news. And I think it's something that's very compelling and everybody needs to know about. So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Clyde Lewis.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you all for coming. It's awesome. I'm going to sit down again. My knee is still having some problems. And what really sucks about that is that the last time I was here a month, I had a knee problem. And what happened is I went to ECETI, what was it, last year, and I was thinking that I could hike and do rocks and mountains and climbing, and I fell on my knee, and it hurt for a while. Went away, doctor told me, oh, it'll take about 6 weeks for it to heal. And okay, great. And it was great because it was the summer, and then I realized that when it got cold, it started hurting again. So it's been bothering me now for at least a couple months, about 3 months. And I just think that doctors hate your guts. They hate me, I can tell you that. And we've been, the wife and I have been having a little, we've been having struggles with doctors as of late for her health and my health. It just seems to be that whatever you do, doctors seem to do the same thing over and over again. Take some blood, take some blood, take some blood, take some blood. I swear, I'm just giving them my blood, and I don't know why. It's like a bunch of vampires. And not only are they sucking my blood, but they're sucking my money. And healthcare blows. It just sucks. And it's because of the fact that we've got, and I don't know if I talked about healthcare last time I was here. I don't know, I was talking about health and everything, and you got, oh yeah, I was talking about flu. When the last time we were here was this big flu problem, where they're saying like what? They said that 90% of the flu vaccines didn't work against the last flu strain. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, and then they tell you, well, don't let that discourage you from getting your shot. I'm thinking, fuck you. Really? Okay, so, everybody's like dying of the flu, but don't let that discourage you, go get that shot. We give them to kids at gunpoint in Zimbabwe, and yet you have to go get your shot. And I didn't get a flu shot. Anybody here get a flu shot by applause? Anyone? No. You did? You got one? Did it make you feel good? No? No different. No different. It didn't even faze you. Didn't even know you had it. No. Anybody get a shingle shot? No? Oh, you got a shingle shot. Are you getting all the shots? Yeah. Wow. And you're still alive and beautiful. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you. But I just don't. I only got one vaccination. It was back when I had cancer. They shoved a needle in my ass and they said, "Hey, we're getting rid of pneumonia right here." And I go, "What? My ass?" and the funny thing was, when I got it, I felt like I was going to jump out of my skin and kill people. It was it's the most horrible thing I ever felt. And I never had a vaccine in a long time, but they had to give it to me. They said, we don't want you to catch pneumonia as you're recovering from your cancer. And I said, yeah, I don't want to do that either. That's what did my dad in. He went in for a simple heel operation because he cut his heel. He ended up dying of pulmonary edema. And see, that's the thing, is that I just don't think doctors like you. I don't think the big pharma likes anybody either. That's why they're trying to, keep pushing for, non-legalization of pot as far as the feds are concerned. And I don't know if you heard this lately, but, they were trying to get kratom off the market. Anybody know what kratom is? By applause? Kratom? By applause? Kratom is kind of like this tea leaf. It's capsuled, or you drink it, or you don't shoot it up, but you drink it, right? And it helps people come off things like heroin and other horrible drugs. And now they want to schedule one that so nobody can take that. And so we have the opioid scare where they tell people you can die from taking your own opiate pills. And they're making laws and going crazy over this whole thing. Well, they come out and they say, well, you can't even take something to get you off of the opiates. You can't smoke pot. You can't take kratom. What the hell are you supposed to do? Yeah, and it's because they're making this special drug. I know this. Big Pharma is like making this special drug, having a hard time with all of the patents and whatever else they have to do to make it happen. I was just reading the other day that there was a batch of kratom that's being sold right now that's loaded with salmonella. And I'm thinking, ooh, that sounds like a conspiracy, doesn't it? You know, it leaves you open for, hey, we don't want you taking this kratom, or we don't want you smoking pot. It's kind of like the paraquat scare back in the 1970s, where people were smoking pot and they were getting sick. And there was also that one headline that said, people are unexplainably screaming and throwing up. Did you hear about this? People who are smoking pot are unbelievable. They're screaming and throwing up. And I'm thinking, what's next? You be shitting out your eyes or something? What are they going to do next with this stuff? It's going to make you sick, right? And I had talked with a number of doctors about efficacy and purity and efficacy with drugs. And one of the things I said to them was, I have this theory. And I thought, usually when I throw my theories out there, I think to myself, yeah, this guy's going to think I'm a real dumbass. Talking to a doctor, he probably thinks I'm out of my mind. So I say to my doctor, I said, can I ask you a question about this whole opioid epidemic, whatever this is? And he says, sure. And I said, what are the chances of taking an opioid and you're supposed to take like maybe 1 every 4 hours or 2 every 6 hours. They give you this, regimen you're supposed to take, and anymore they don't give you anything more than a 5 milligrams. Used to be you get like 10, and you're like, nothing's gonna bother me. I can walk through glass, it wouldn't hurt me at all. But now they just give you these 5 325s. I mean, you take more extra strength Tylenol than you ever take in a pain pill, right? But they tell you that people are getting addicted to this stuff. Well, the addiction, I think, is this. People have pain. We all have pain. They don't know how to take care of pain. That's the bottom line. Because my knee is just killing me right now. They don't know how to take care of it. So the situation is that they go in, and I said to my doctor, I said, now, sometimes I can take a narcotic pill to take care of pain. Pain's gone for the whole day. I don't have to touch the bottle for a day, maybe even another day. It's fine. I'm fine. But then one day I take it, and it's the same pain, but I take it and it just doesn't work. I go, how many of those pills in there are placebos? I go, what are the chances of me taking a pill and it's a placebo? I said, I don't think the efficacy is right. I don't think they're testing the purity correctly. I don't think any of this is real. And he says, you may have a point. And I said, what? He said, yeah. He says, there's no way that we can see, we estimate just how much milligram is in one pill. But I mean, you could get a pill that probably has nothing in it. It's just like, it's just Tylenol. And so you're taking, 325 milligrams of Tylenol, and instead, you're supposed to be like watching it so your liver doesn't go to hell and die. But truth is, you're probably getting less pain medication from what you're taking in the opioid than you are from extra strength Tylenol. So how the hell do they not think that this is going to addict people? Because they keep taking and taking and taking and taking until they feel like their pain, by the end of the cut, their liver's gone, their brain is gone, and their bodies are becoming dependent on this stuff. So I blame Big Pharma for this shit. I mean, I am angry because this is something that I think is being created by the government. It's being created by Big Pharma. Yeah, somebody's trying to applaud here. Go ahead and applaud if you think so. I think it is. Because one of the things they don't teach people about abuse or about what we call addiction, what they don't tell people is that there are people who are addicted. Now, addiction is where your body takes over. So your body thinks that if you can't have this, you're going to die. Okay? That's what addiction is. Addiction is where, thank you. Addiction is where you think to yourself, if I don't take this substance or if I don't do this, I am literally going to die. It's kind of like when I have coffee in the morning. I'm going to have coffee or I'm going to kill somebody. Give me my coffee, you won't get hurt. That's right. Everybody knows. But the thing is that people don't know what dependence is. Now, there is dependency. Now, that's not addiction. Dependency is when you truthfully need a medication in order to take your pain away. It's not imaginary. You're not doing it because you want to get high. You're not doing it because you think it's going to make you Superman. You're doing it because you're not going to get the hell out of bed unless you have something in your system that's going to make you want to move. But see, they don't tell you that. And so everybody has this thing where, oh, so you need pain pills, huh? Well, yeah, I need them for my knee because they hurt. It hurts. Oh, okay, you're probably addicted, aren't you? No, I'm not addicted. I mean, I'll suffer just like the next person. You know what they say about getting old? It's not for pussies. And I'm a big pussy, so I need some drugs. Thank you. You know, don't make fun of me and don't judge me because I'm taking medication. But see, that's the thing. They vilify, and I notice this, they vilify people who need medication. I'm going to know this. My birthday was the 22nd of February. I just turned 54, all right? Thank you. So I go out to lunch with a friend of mine. We go out and I decided I'd buzz my diet, you know, because I'm dieting and of course I'm losing a lot of weight. But I buzzed my diet and I said, hey, I'm gonna have a Philly cheesesteak on my birthday. Screw it all, blow it on a day, carrot cake, all that crap. I'm gonna be living it up. So I go to the Steakadelphia, have myself a big old Philly cheesesteak because those things are amazing. Talking to my friend, and all of a sudden I'm feeling shaky and kind of out of it. So I say to my friend, I said, you know what? I said, I know it's my birthday, I have the day off. I'm gonna go get this knee looked at because it's scaring the hell out of me. He goes, on your birthday? I go, yeah, on my birthday. I gotta get this taken care of or else I'm gonna be really, 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 really miserable on my birthday. So I get there pretty early. I get there about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I say to the people, hey, my knee's hurting me. I don't know what's wrong with it. I went in, I got a shot, steroid shot in my knee. Isn't working. Don't know what's going on. There's probably an infection in there or something's happening in my knee. He'd get me in. Oh, sure. So I wait, and 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 I wait. Finally, they take me out. They put me in this room. They say to me, we're going to give you an EKG. I go, what? I'm not having a heart problem. I'm having a knee problem. Well, we think we should check it just to make sure. It's knee, not heart, but knee. Oh, we're just going to do this. So they put those little sticky things on my body, which sucks because I'm a hairy guy. And nurses love this because they put the shit on you like that and they won't take it off. They want you to sit there and try to, bear it. You're ripping it off yourself. I have to sing in order to do it. I'm going, da 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 da, ah, da 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 da, ah, ah, and I'm singing. And they go, why are you singing? I said, because it hurts. What do you want me to do? Scream? Da 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 da. Okay. So they do the EKG, and then they say to me, we're going to take blood. So they poke at me, trying to find a vein. Take my blood, get an x-ray on my knee. By this time, it's like, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the evening. $500. Yeah, no kidding, $500. Doctor comes in. He's just like young tech. He comes in and he says, I'm sorry, but we looked over your blood. We think we're going to have to admit you. I go to the hospital for my knee? No. We have other problems. We found some problems with your kidneys. I said, I know, I had kidney cancer. Oh, is that what it was? Well, yeah, I told you. I had 3 bouts of kidney cancer, and yeah, my kidneys are plump and juicy, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're not that juicy. You know what I'm saying? So they were analyzing me for something, and they said they were going to admit me, and I was like, oh no, shit, this is going to suck. On my birthday, I'm not going to have any fun. I'm going to be laying in a hospital bed because they decided to admit me. So some other fresh-faced doctor comes in, a big smile on his face, and he goes, so. We're not going to admit you. We're going to call your doctor's office, and they're going to arrange to have a meeting with you tomorrow. So if you could, we're gonna, wrap you up and send you on your way. I'm going, great. So I wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. 10 o'clock rolls around. And I said, what's going on? Oh, you get to go. So I go, call my doctor's office that morning. And I said, they scared the hell out of me, saying someone's wrong with my kidneys. I want to go in and make an appointment. So they made an appointment for me. What time am I supposed to come in? Oh, Mr. Lewis, they didn't make an appointment for you. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. So I made an appointment, went in, and guess what they did? The same damn thing that they did to me in the hospital. They took my blood, they had me pee, they did everything else. And you know what? I'm thinking to myself, crap, I had all that money that I'm going to have to be spending in that hospital room, and then I'm going to spend the same amount of money for the same test again. And then I end up getting a phone call, Mr. Lewis, we think that you're pre-diabetic. And all of a sudden, all these, everything starts going, oh my God, So they're finding everything wrong with me, but I just want my fucking knee taken care of. Your doctors hate you. They hate me, obviously. So I'm like going, my God, and still, now I gotta go to the doctor on the 15th because they say, you're anemic, Mr. Lewis. I'm going, Jesus, why don't I just take some iron pills and call it good? But no, I have to go back to the doctor. I'm not diabetic, by the way. I'm not, but they thought, since I had a fast blood of 126, they thought that was alarming. I said, well, what's my A1C? He told me it's fine. I said, why the hell then are you scaring me to say that I'm diabetic? What? And that's the thing, is that they make up all these damn things and all these things that you think you have, and you just have it. You don't let that, don't let that discourage you from getting your shot. Don't let that discourage you from going to the doctor. Hell, I'm getting tired of it. And I think that, and this whole situation where you could be in horrible, horrible pain, and they look at you like, well, what do you expect us to do about it? Well, isn't there something I can take, or is there something you can do, or is there some, and so, get a load of this. So I say to them, well, can you get an MRI done on the knee to make sure that nothing's wrong with it? Oh no, we can't do that. Well, why not? Well, the insurance company won't pay for an MRI unless you go to physical therapy. Oh, so I have to pay more money to go to physical therapy, and then if they find out that it exacerbates the problem with the knee, I'll have to go in for knee surgery. Yeah. Well, and see, this is the thing. It's the runaround, it's the riffraff, it's Big Pharma screwing us all. And there was something else, too, and I know I'm holding this drink, and I'm afraid. Let's see. I saw this today. I don't want to read this to you, because it's too good not to read, okay? Notice I got the real phone now, so. I'm in the real world now. My wife got me on the family plan, and so I had to get this type of phone.
No more flip-flop.
No more flip-flop. I'm going to read you this, and tell me if this isn't just like the biggest crock of shit. But let me just tell you something. We talked about this on the radio a while ago. Something called Clyde X. Does anybody remember the show we did about Clyde X? By applause. I don't think anybody does, really. I had said, it was during the flu epidemic, and they were talking about whether or not they were going to spray somewhere in the South, I can't remember what it was, they were going to do a test of some sort of strange simulated pathogen. Oh, do you? Okay, so they were going to do this strange pathogen test on this place in the South. The Native American tribes just were up in arms about this, and they stopped it. But they said that it was part of something called Clyde X. They called it Clyde X. And I did some research into Clyde X. What Clyde X is, believe it or not, is they were going to test an unknown pathogen, which I suspected would be, get a load of this, extraterrestrial. Meaning that they have found some amazing things in Antarctica that are not in this world. And some of them are biological microbes. And I think they want to find out whether or not we have an immunity to these microbes. And they're willing to test it. They're willing to kill all these people if need be to test this microbe thing. Well, only in America, right? Okay, well, get a load of this. So here's a headline that I saw today. This was Drudge Report. Ready? Scientists warn of a mysterious and deadly new epidemic called Disease X that could kill millions around the world. Now listen to how vague this article is. I was reading it, it was frustrating me. The World Health Organization has added the unknown future pathogen to a list of deadly threats to mankind. It is called Pathogen X. Okay? It says, an unknown and deadly new illness dubbed Disease X has been added to the list of potential global epidemics that could kill millions. Each year, scientists with the World Health Organization create a list of the most likely diseases to break out into a worldwide pandemic. This year, among the familiar Ebola, SARS, and Zika viruses, is the new name Disease X. Okay? And unlike the other pathogens, it is not known what causes Disease X or how doctors could try and treat it. Researchers said that they added Disease X to the threat list and recognized the fact that the next deadly pandemic could be started by an illness that has not caused any problems before. Disease X represents the knowledge that a serious international epidemic could be caused by a pathogen currently unknown to cause human disease. First discovered by Norwegian scientists and World Health Organization advisors, they said that it's likely the next outbreak would be something we have not seen before. It may seem strange to be adding an X, but the point is to make sure we prepare and plan flexibly in terms of vaccines and diagnostic tests. Don't let that discourage you from getting your vaccine. Can you believe this? Pathogen X, Disease X, and we were talking about Clyde X. They know, I can tell you this, they know exactly what this is because they've created it. They have created this. They give it the big X thing because they want to scare people. But I can tell you after in May, this is when it's going to be tested. I can tell you the month. I can't tell you the date, but I can tell you the month, and it'll be this year. It'll be May of this year that you will hear more about Pathogen X. Mark my word. I'm going to talk about Pathogen X and Clyde X. It's C-L-A-D-E-X. You can look this up. Clyde X. I'm going to talk about this at Contact in the Desert. And I'm going to bring it up because I got wind of this back when they were going to be testing these pathogens on the people in the South. Because it all goes back to the chemtrail scares and the chemtrails and what they're doing with chemtrails and how they're delivering this type of stuff through the chemtrails. They can do it in the flu shots, yeah, they can do it in anything. But see, they're already saying now that the kratom has salmonella in it. This could kill so many people. And what are we going to do about it? There's nothing we can do about it. It's almost like taking a gun, putting one bullet in it, and playing Russian roulette with your health. And it bothers me because it's like you have all these psychopaths that are running these organizations that have to deal with your health. And they don't care. They don't care how many people they kill. It's like they all sit around in that dark room at Bilderberg and they start thinking to each other, who are we going to kill next? And how are we going to do it? Oh, why don't we come up with something called Pathogen X? It's like something out of the 1950s. Some 1950s horror film called Pathogen X. And everybody's like wondering, well, what can we do about it? Well, we don't have a vaccine for it yet. We don't know what to call it yet. We just know it's going to be something like we've never seen before. Well, I've seen a lot of bad stuff. We've all seen a lot of bad stuff. We've all read a lot. How bad can it get? A zombie apocalypse? And I know that sounds outrageous, but they've been preparing for this for a long time. Just the idea of what's going to happen, it's going to be spread, and everybody's going to get it, everybody's going to be infected, and then we react a certain way when we hear the mortality rates go up. And that's what's terrifying. Is I've been reading a lot of, I'm 54, just turning 54. At 54, you really should be thinking about your mortality. I am. Well, mainly because I basically, looked death in the face and kind of laughed and walked away from it. But, I'm just thinking to myself, the older you get, the less lucky you become, And I'm very conscious right now. That's why I'm doing the longevity stuff, and I'm working with Doc Wallach, and I'm making sure that all that works, and I want everybody else to do it too, because I'm thinking to myself, if everybody's healthy and ready to go, then we're going to be able to handle whatever comes at us. But it's like, I was talking last night about how China has now come forward and said, well, our form of government is going to be the model that we're going to introduce for the New World Order. And so I have all these people calling my show thinking they know how it's going to be implemented. Because they're thinking, well, the Chinese aren't going to take over our country, not with Donald Trump in office. And I'm thinking, you don't get it, do you? It's not about the Chinese showing up at our doorstep with a gun saying, we're going to take over. What it is that there's different models of government that are being used in different countries. Canada has their model, England has their model, hell, Switzerland has their model. There are different models of government, and sometimes there are different governments that are basically like our government. I was saying that Argentina, for example, Simon Bolivar, when he went in there, said that he really liked the Constitution of the United States, and so if you read Argentina's Constitution, just like ours, except it's in Spanish. It's kind of like when you're on the bus. You see the bus, and then you see both Spanish and you look at English. It's the same with their Constitution, both and both. And so when I get people calling me, and they know how it's all going to come out, like this one woman calls and she says to me, she says, well, women are going to have Chinese babies, and then they're going to go to China, give them dual citizenship, and they'll come back and they'll be presidents, and no. See, the way it's implemented is a form of government, a form of socialized medicine, a form of all this stuff, where we are slowly, gradually putting ourselves into it. I have read, and it was really odd, I went and reviewed a few things. I don't know if anybody, is anybody familiar with Agenda 21 by applause? A few people, right? Well, I keep hearing people referring to Agenda 21, and that's all well and good, but beyond Agenda 21 is Summit Plus 20, which was after Agenda 21, where they even made it more evil. You know, it's like, it's just that they have the corner on evil. Man, that's evil. Make it more evil. How evil can we make it? Well, we'll make it this much more evil. And so then 2030 comes along, the Summit 2030, and it's even more evil. Okay? And so I always tell people, you need to get past your Agenda 21, people. Because it's a lot worse now, because they want to do so many things they want to implement. And I went back and I read some of this, some of the, I guess the writings of those who want to shape and bring about this new form of government, this new world order, this new economic order, they call it. And they push something called the green economy, which is dealing with things like redistribution of wealth, health and human services being available, but only on their terms. Things like water and food and a number of other things that are necessities are yes, they're going to become regulated, privatized. So they're going to privatize water, they're going to privatize food, so it's going to become, they're going to make it illegal for you to grow things in a garden. They're going to make it illegal for you to get anything that is not being distributed by the government. That is what they want to do. And also drugs. The reason why they're making such a big deal out of vaccines and opioids and everything else is because it gives them a reason to make new laws and new rules so that you, as a person who needs medications and things to survive, will not get them unless you do certain things for them. It's like, if you do this for us, we'll give you what you want.
Turn in your neighbor.
Turn in your neighbor. Jump through hoops. That sort of thing. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's all there. Then I was reading that they wanted to also, they wanted to develop a counter-programming or a counter-propaganda group, which they've gotten, by the way. We were talking about this on the air about the new, what we call the Ministry of Truth, where they are going to do counter-propaganda against other countries, but you know that counter-propaganda will be at us because of the fact that the Russian meddling and all this stuff is, once again, giving them an excuse to say, well, we need to regulate the internet now. So you hear about YouTube and you hear about Facebook. I just want to let everybody know, if you didn't know already, many people who do shows like mine, many people who are commentators and are known as independent journalists and independent speakers, they've been shut down off YouTube. People like Alex Jones, people like Chuck Ocelli, I can go down the list of a lot of people. They're all facing hurdles right now because they're being shut down. We had our RSS feed shut down by somebody, we don't know who, but iTunes and several formats, several platforms did not get ground zero, and I had everybody wondering where it went, and I said, well, I don't know. We're trying our best to get things rolling again and get things working. It was difficult. And you get people, get a load of this, you get people when you tell them, oh, by the way, we're having a hard time keeping up with the problems in the show. It's going to cost us some money. You get people going, well, get better sponsors. Get a better agent. And I'm thinking, what? Are you kidding me? You know, you want the information, but you feel you're entitled to us getting it on for you when I never ask a damn penny out of you to listen to my shows. See, and that irritates me, because there are a lot of people that are out there that are doing to Alex Jones and doing to other people as well. They say, well, if you can't do it, we'll find somebody else who can. Well, what are you doing? And that's why I say to people, look, it's getting to the point now where we no longer can be passive about what we want, okay? We can't lay back and expect somebody to do it for us. We got to start doing it for ourselves. And so that's why if I've been sounding a little aggressive lately about buy my books or, you know, do this, do this, do this, it's because it's important, because a lot of the time, radio companies, especially mine and others, they're not going to fork over the money for things, luxuries like podcasts and luxuries like, you know, getting the word out, book writing, book selling. All this stuff is independent. All this stuff is done so that we can get the messages out to people. And so I don't think people understand the pecking order of what's going on with people like Alex Jones and me and others. I put out a message the other day about Facebook, and I said that Facebook has reduced my reach, which means that people who have my news feed, they get the news feed from Facebook, they're not getting my stories. People write me and they say, I'm not getting your stories anymore in my feed. And I said, well, if you subscribe, well, we can subscribe and see, but I'm still not getting stories in my feed.
Yeah, it was 250,000.
Yeah.
It went down to 65,000.
Yeah, we had 250,000 reach. About 250,000 people that would look at Ground Zero every day. Do you know what we have now? 65,000. How do you go from 250,000 to 65,000? It's because the algorithms do not like Clyde Lewis. The algorithms do not want you to get the information I'm giving out to you, okay? In fact, tonight, I'm sure we're being recorded here, right? And, of course, with the lights, I'm wondering how long any of my videos will remain on YouTube because of what's going on. And there are several people, startups everywhere, that, you know, peoplesplace.us, DTube, all these places are starting up. But what you have here is you have a monopoly. You have Google and YouTube that run the show, and they have plenty of money being fed into them by governments and other people who want to do nothing more than to watch you and make sure that you don't step out of line. And they will go to the trouble to destroy you if need be. And that's why I think that perhaps there needs to be a review of antitrust laws when it comes to the internet. And whether or not antitrust laws apply to Google or if they apply to YouTube because of what they're doing, and Facebook. Because I don't know if anybody remembers MySpace. Did you ever have MySpace, anybody? Yeah. I still have my MySpace account, but I don't know what I did with it. I mean, I look up every once in a while and it's there. But I mean, MySpace was, you know, pre-Facebook. Now everybody's on Facebook. And Vimeo was an alternative to YouTube, and then YouTube got really popular. I remember those things I had on Vimeo. And Netflix, and well, now Netflix is mostly movies, but I'm just saying that YouTube, because it's a Google company, is doing really well. SoundCloud, who does my stuff, is gonna go bankrupt. iHeart, that does my stuff, is going to go bankrupt. Okay, and the reason why is because they're striving to keep their independence, but people aren't willing to pay for independence. They want the free, homogenized, well-groomed programming that they get from CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and CNBC. They want that because they don't want to even try. And this is the frustrating part, because when you want to be nice and you want to say, hey, you know, it's a crapshoot, it's a competition, it's this, but you know, it's no longer a competition. It'd be great if it was a competition where the fight is fair. that everybody has an opportunity or everybody has a shot. Not when you have tons of money being paid to curb or to shape the culture. And shaping the culture is exactly what they want. And when you have an elite group of people that really sincerely want to shape the culture in one direction, it means one thing, and that is they're about to do something really, really, really drastic. Either we're going to go to war, or there's going to be a big upset with our government. And we all know that they're trying hard to remove Donald Trump. And I don't know what you think of Donald Trump, and it's not really all that important right now. But what's really sickening about this whole thing, about the resistance and everything else we're hearing about, the resistance has power in every facet of what we do now. The resistance is in the media. The deep state has got their people sitting in the chairs that report to you every night, former CIA heads, former FBI heads. This is a Mockingbird operation. Operation Mockingbird in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. It wasn't until like 1977 that they actually figured out that a lot of people that were sitting in those chairs reporting to you in the news were agents from different alphabet agencies. And they were sitting in the chairs reporting information directly from the Pentagon, directly from the CIA. And you know, after the Oscars, or actually before the Oscars, there was a tweet that came out from the Department of Defense. And the tweet said, did you know that the Department of Defense actually consults movies for Hollywood? Find out how by going to www.dod.hollywood.com. And I was thinking to myself, they no longer hide it. They no longer hide the fact that they're consulting films for the sole purpose of, you know, programming people. And I had said on the air, I said, you know, I remember back when I was a kid, I looked forward to the Academy Awards. And the reason why was, well, back then there were better actors, and you know, there were great people like Katharine Hepburn and Henry Fonda, and you know, I could go down the list of all these classical actors. I mean, I was into B-horror films, so I'd be Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff and all these guys that were really amazing. But now, it's not for the love of movies anymore. It's not for the love of the actors and the actresses anymore. It's for political claptrap. That's all it is. Political claptrap, and it's all about victimhood as a form of currency. Everybody's a victim. Everybody's persecuted. Everybody needs to join this group. Everybody needs to rat on this person. I mean, we're developing into a snitch society, a dossier blackmail government full of scandal and full of impunity again. And it's because of the fact that I don't know if we know of a time when it wasn't happening. And so, you know, regardless of what you feel about the president or the Congress or anyone else, it's all coming out now that they have been doing things scandalous and criminal, and yet people still deny to this day that 9/11 was an inside job. I mean, we had a criminal element in government since the time of John F. Kennedy. And this deep state killed Kennedy. The deep state kept things secret, like whether or not President Johnson was a member of the KKK. That was revealed in the Kennedy papers. Nixon and Watergate. You know, the Clintons and Mina drugs, and the Bushes and drugs, and all of the other presidents have had their hand in something that's criminal. And, you know, I just shake my head and wonder, you know, why is it that nobody is beside themselves enough to start talking? And it just seems to me that if anyone that was involved or that's involved with broadcasting today and talk radio or anything else, they should just abandon these right-wing, you know, diatribes and start talking about how generally, pardon the expression, we're fucked. And we need to start admitting that and start beating up and getting up and starting saying, hey, we don't want to be fucked anymore.
That's right.
We just don't. Okay? And people always say, well, what are we supposed to do, Clyde? What are you supposed to do? You know what I say? Start talking. Start talking and getting people interested and getting up off their dust and start realizing that we have value. Individualism is what we have going for us, is value. This whole collectivist, cliquish bullshit is what's killing America. If you're not part of our club, then you're not worth a shit. What?
How do you beat everybody else when they're apathetic and to do anything? You look at them, I mean, when you go to vote, everybody's apathetic.
They're apathetic because they don't have any spark of conversation that keeps them captivated. What's that? What? No, yeah, there's no history, there's no civics, there's no, I mean, look, the perfect example of how we do not have civics or good history being taught anymore in schools, Oprah Winfrey for president. That is what I am shaking my head over. Look, we already screwed up getting one reality star. We don't need a talk show person in the White House. Okay, we don't. We don't need George Clooney. We don't need Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We need somebody who's a leader in the White House.
What about Reagan?
What about Reagan?
He was an actor.
Yeah, look what we got with Reagan.
True.
I mean, we got Bush. I mean, well, okay, we got people wanting to ask questions now, Ron. How much time do we have? Because we got people raising hands. I think we have to do the roving microphone, so they're already... Yeah, let's start questions. We got about, what, another 15, 20 minutes, and we got a lot of people that are fired up. I'm fired up. So go ahead and get the... You want this mic, don't you? This mic? There we go. Okay, go ahead, Ron. Question? Down there. Down there. You don't need a mic? Okay. Volume.
Hello.
Going to Korea.
North Korea.
And also, the whole thing about the thing hitting the ocean, maybe that was... I don't personally think that our government would send Donald Trump into North Korea, considering it's the first time it's ever happened under that kind of arms way.
I just wanted to let you know the new headline came out today after what happened in the Pacific Northwest, that now our military has decided that they're going to intercept incoming UFOs and incoming rocks. So maybe what happened was exactly what people are speculating, that something was intercepted, and this was a reason for a letter from Kim Jong-un, or a tweet from Kim Jong-un to the president saying, we need to meet. It was Kim Jong-un that basically asked the president to come meet. I heard some guy goes, you know that Trump did this. No, Trump didn't do it. No, Trump did not do it, you know.
He did the sanctions.
Yeah, he did the sanctions. No, what we got is we got what we always have with North Korea, a very fat, a very stupid guy who basically is letting his people starve to death, and he needs help from the United States. And he also sees it better if they unify Korea, both Koreas, because then they can both be strong and he can basically get his people fed. That's what's going on here. It's about hunger, it's about scarcity. And I've been talking about, when you render scarcity, people get motivated. Scarcity and zombies are the two things that motivate me. Huh? No, doesn't worry me at all. Not yet. Not that I can see. No, I see this as just what... look, I see this as that what we're seeing is that people are curious about Donald Trump. We're not. Our country is... I don't know why our country isn't, but everybody else is. They want to know what makes this guy tick. They want to know why everybody hates him in the United States. They want to know why the media is so downright shitty towards Donald Trump. And so I think that's what we're seeing. It's like I was talking the other night. You know, I was watching some of the excerpts of the interview that Megyn Kelly did with Vladimir Putin. And when she asked him about the Russian group that meddled, or at least that tried to divide the United States with propaganda, he said, I don't care. And she goes, you don't care? No, I don't care. And I was laughing, going, of course he doesn't care. Are you kidding me? Are you that surprised that he doesn't care? I don't give a shit either. I don't care. You know what I care about? I care about whether or not we're going to be able to, you know, survive as a country right now, as the Constitution is being trampled all over. They ignore they're now ignoring First Amendment. They're ignoring the Second Amendment. They're going to trample all over the Second Amendment. Third and Fourth Amendment. Fourth Amendment, oh my God, what is that? And then the other night when I was on the air and I talked about due process, and some guy goes, well, if due process ended tomorrow, do you think the world would end? Do you think the world would stop turning? I'm like, well, you gotta be effing kidding me. You know, due process is something that we all are entitled to, but not when it comes to sexual impropriety. You know, somebody gets accused of sexual impropriety, the court of public opinion has already nailed people to the crosses saying, these guys did it. You know, I'd hate to be accused of something that the court of public opinion has already decided that I've done when I didn't do it. And that's something, and when you say to people, even scumbags deserve a trial, they look at you like, what? They do. If you think they're a scumbag, they still need a trial. That's how we do things in the United States of America. That's how we do things when we have a rule of law called the Constitution of the United States of America. And you know what? Yes, the world will keep turning, but it's not a world that I want to be in, and due process is not something that is enacted upon. The grand juries cannot be called out, and criminals in Washington can't be indicted because we're too stupid to understand how to do it. We need to start teaching civics again. What is what? Okay, we need a microphone. I don't hear her. I can't hear her. The NDAA? Well, that was signed by Barack Obama because, well, and he said it. He said, well, I am reluctantly going to sign this because, well, I know it's going to be for the person after me that becomes president. And at first we thought it was going to be for Mitt Romney, but when he didn't make it, we thought, oh, well, this is going to be for the next person. And I'm sure he thought it was going to be a Democrat. I'm sure he thought it was going to be somebody that was going to fulfill and push the globalist agenda. Which, by the way, I just want to let you know, did you hear the latest about the word globalist? They were on, they were talking about Cohen, the guy that resigned recently. And Donald Trump had said, he's a really good guy, but I really think he's a globalist. And then all these people came forward and says, well, you realize that globalist is an anti-Semitic slur. Well, it's because, you know, there have been a lot of people who are anti-Semitic that believe that, you know, globalism is a Zionist plot or a Jewish plot, although we know the Chinese now are doing it. But see, that's the thing, is that they want to try and do newspeak here by saying, okay, we're going to change the meaning of words. Rather than a globalist being somebody who wants to have a global government and wants to do everything in their power to remove borders and sovereignty and everything else, you know, I just heard nationalist murmured. Nationalist is a dirty word as well. Being a nationalist is something very bad in the eyes of people now. You can't say I'm a nationalist because they attribute that to fascism.
I'm a nationalist.
You're a fascist. When you ride with Hitler, you ride alone. I heard something that was really funny. It says, why doesn't every time when you bring up Hitler, the whole room goes, boom? It's like, because whenever you want to point to evil, Hitler's always the example. Well, you know, he's like Hitler. And the minute you say, you know, and he said, the guy said, I can't remember what he said something to the effect, he said, well, who do they compare it to when Hitler wasn't around? I mean, before Hitler, who do they compare evil to? Who was the evil guy before Hitler? It's like, huh? No, we're talking, you know, when they said, when somebody, they didn't say he's like Hitler, before Hitler even came along, baby Hitler. You know, no, it wouldn't be Stalin. Think about it. Before Hitler, before Stalin, who do they compare? Who do they use as for evil? Napoleon? Genghis Khan? He's another Napoleon. Boy, that doesn't work either. No, he doesn't work at all. But see, that's the thing, is that we have what I call image and action parameters. And it's funny because image and action parameters have kind of screwed us up in trying to identify the criminals in the world. And, you know, we will look and we'll say, we know what fascism looks like. And it's because we've been programmed into knowing what we think fascism looks like. And that would be like, you know, gone are the goose-stepping boots and the khakis and the red armbands. Well, the thing is they got smart and realized that those Halloween costumes aren't going to convince anybody anymore. So we have to wear three-piece suits, look like used car salesmen in order to get our way, and they get their way all the time because the American people do not question experts. I don't know how many times I have had shoved in my face in the morning. You know, you're going through the channels. You know, you go through. I do that every morning. I wake up. I don't know why I do this. It's torture. I wake up every morning. I fix myself a cup of coffee, and while I'm sitting there in front of the TV, I'm like watching and going through all the channels. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're not a soccer mom, you can't relate to this bullshit. And so then you go to CNN and you're thinking, why am I getting this? This is all crap news. You go to Fox, it's all crap news. You think, well, how the hell am I ever going to get informed? I guess I don't have to be a soccer mom. Because that's all it's geared towards is soccer moms. And, you know, it's like, well, we're going to do a surprise makeover today, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I can't get news out of this. And so I go to the internet, and then I'm told, well, you know, if you get the news off the internet, that's fake news. Well, what the hell am I watching when I'm watching Soccer Mom Hour? You know, what am I getting? So it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder for people in the future to get information that is sound and important for them, that's going to help them. It makes my job harder. I've been realizing this lately when I go into the office and I come in and I'm just like, I'm already exhausted before I come into the office because I know what's ahead of me. Trying to pick a topic that everybody's going to listen to, that everybody's going to want to get a unique view on and some perspective on, that isn't going to sound like every other claptrap talk show host that wants to keep telling the same story and use the same type of narrative that's either one side or the other side. Because it's like, you know, politics are ruling the narrative. And there's no reason for the narrative to be ruled by politics. We need to have the narrative ruled by common sense. We need to have the narrative ruled by critical thinkers. We need to have the narrative be objective. We need to have people in those seats that are talking to you through the television or the radio. We need to have those people realize that they are there to win over the public trust as a public trustee, and they should be reporting what the people need to know. Not what they think you need to know, but what the people truly need to know. There's a reason why they make millions of dollars. They make millions of dollars because they don't want to go off the rails. They don't want to go off the program. They don't want to go outside the margins or the lines. When you look around you and you say to yourself, well, where can I prove, Clyde, that this is happening where we have agents sitting in the seats? We got John Bannon, who's a consultant for MSNBC. You got Anderson Cooper, who was a CIA operative in Cambodia and in Vietnam. I can just go down the list. It's not that we're saying it's some unknown story. It's not. It's well known, and it's open now. They don't have to lie to you anymore. They can just tell you, and you'll go, oh, really? Really? Seriously? Yes.
Got a question here.
Sure, go ahead. Where are you? What, hello? I don't see you. Where's I'm blinded. Wave or something. Pool table. Okay, I can't see you. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Clyde, so you bringing up the Ministry of Truth thing, and then her comment about the NDAA made me remember that a lot of people don't know this, but in 2012, Obama, and full disclosure, I voted for him in 2008. Of course, I didn't know at the time he was going to completely...
Yeah, most of us did.
I didn't know he was going to replicate Bush's entire agenda at the time, but... So in 2012, Obama tucked into the NDAA, as most presidents do. They'll tuck in a little, you know, screwed up thing. And what Obama did was he literally legalized the use of propaganda by the government.
Yes.
So they can say whatever they want to us now, and not that they would ever get in trouble for that anyway. But why do you think they did that? Of course they did that because they were about to launch this whole new campaign to use media to influence the public. So where do you think this is headed in terms of, like, it's obviously going to get a lot worse, but, you know...
Well, obviously we know where it's heading. It's heading to an area where they're going to eliminate the voices who speak against the narrative. This isn't about, I'm not part of the resistance. See, the resistance is bullshit. The resistance is phony. The resistance is being organized by big money, otherwise it wouldn't get off the ground. That's why people like me and others that are struggling to get the word out are struggling, because we don't have the George Soroses or the Koch brothers putting money in our pockets to talk bullshit. Okay? And that's the whole thing, is that if you see, like, they were saying that, well, the Russians meddled in the election. They didn't meddle in the election. Do you know what they did? It would be like me and some of you getting together, we all chip in and we say, wouldn't it be funny if we made a bunch of memes and we put them on the internet and we paid money to get them distributed on Facebook and we get them distributed on Twitter and everybody picks up on them thinking they're cute and funny? That's all they did. That's all they did. They created memes, they created hashtags, they create all these things and people go, oh, that's funny. Hillary for prison was created by the Russians. You realize that? That little slogan, Hillary for prison, that was created by the Russians. Make America Great Again, or MAGA, was created by the Russians. All these things were created by the Russians, and people fell for it. And not only that, but what's really hilarious is even the Russian meddling was created by the Russians. Not only did they meddle, not only did they do what they did, but they came around and they said they created their own "we're meddling" thing just to create more controlled opposition. And people like Michael Moore and CNN and MSNBC, they fell for it too. And they're still falling for it. Even after we have indictments of 12 or 13 different people, none of them are going to see extradition in the United States. None of them are going to stand trial for doing this. So like Vladimir Putin said, I could care less. So could I, because if we don't have any names, if we have no, I mean, can anybody name one of the people that were involved with this counter-propaganda ring? No. You notice you're not learning any of the names? You notice you're not seeing any faces? Do you know why you're not learning any names and seeing any faces? Because it's bullshit. And it's been bullshit from the very beginning. This is desperation. You ready for desperation? There is a woman in Thailand right now. She is a prostitute from Belarus who's in a Thai prison for soliciting sex on Pattaya Beach, which they've been trying to crack down on open prostitution in Thailand. I was involved with the Don't Buy Thai boycott because I was trying to eliminate that because they were trafficking children to Thailand to be sexual objects. Well, this woman's in a prison. So what does she say? I've got information. I was the mistress of a Russian oligarch, and I can give you all the dirt you want on Donald Trump and his alleged collusion with Russia. So here we have a prostitute in prison saying she has all this information on Trump. What does CNN do? We're heading down there. We're going to get her out of jail. Are you kidding me? She's credible? She's a prostitute in a Thai jail who says she wants asylum because she can spill the beans. They're willing to go to Thailand and do checkbook journalism just because they want to be right about Russia. It doesn't make sense. It's like we're living in Onion World. Everything I read anymore, even that thing that I read about the disease X, that sounds like something that was written in The Onion. It's like saying, there's a scary movie coming to a theater near you. A movie so scary that the writers won't write it. A movie so scary that directors won't even direct it. A movie so scary that the people are so scared they don't even want to go see it. A scary movie is coming to a theater near you unless the guys that own the theater are too afraid to show it. That's basically what you got out of that damn X disease shit. It's so bad, we've not seen anything like it before. No, because it's not here yet. It's like I read a headline today. It's been found since President Trump wanted to investigate whether or not video games create the type of atmosphere necessary for school shootings. New study says that 80% of school shooters have no interest in video games. Of course they don't. They want to do it. They want to be the part of it. They want to do the real thing. They don't care if they're shooting cartoons. They want to shoot real people. Duh. Duh. It's like, come on. I could have told you that. I could have told you they have no interest in video games. They have interest in just killing people because they're psychotic sons of bitches. That's why. Do we need a study to tell us this shit? No. And that's why the media has just gotten out of it. They're completely out of their freaking minds. They try to feed us line after line after line. You know why? Because we're headline readers. We're no longer people who read newspaper articles, and when something comes down the internet, immediately we read the headline and we go, well, this is my opinion on the headline. They don't read the articles. They don't listen to the newscast. Hell, they don't even listen to me. I could say something on the air and somebody writes me and say, you said this. Is this how you believe? Well, I didn't say that, first of all. And as far as my beliefs are concerned, I talk about things that are in the news. I talk about things that I find interesting. It doesn't mean I support it. And, you know, it doesn't mean that, you know, it's like back when Sandy Hook happened. And there was a number of people that said that Sandy Hook didn't happen, that the kids weren't killed, that there were crisis actors and all this stuff. I did a show about Sandy Hook, and I said, you know, Sandy Hook had real players, real people, kids died, all this stuff happened, but I said, you know, with all the way the news has been handling this, I can actually see how anybody, how some people could say that they believe that crisis actors were involved. Same with what happened with the shooting in Florida. I mean, Dave Hogg is the perfect example of a camera hog who's been on everything, and he looked like a stringer actor. He just acted like a stringer actor. And you see, this is the thing. If the media doesn't want conspiracy theories spun about the news, then do your fucking job and do the news. You want to put me out of business? Do a better job than I do in reporting the news, you fucking idiots. I get so sick of the smirk of people like Anderson Cooper going, well, this latest conspiracy theory, shut your mouth. It's because you're a fucking stupid reporter. That's why we have conspiracy theory. It's not what they report, it's what they don't report. If they were to report something that we can easily digest and easily comprehend, you know, the American people are not that stupid, but they certainly act like we are, and that's why everything we hear anymore is homogenized, watered-down pap. That's why they do it. Because they don't believe that you're smart enough to understand what things are. They don't believe that you're smart enough to assess the truth.
Is that why this one picked up more politically?
If that's why what?
This shooting, did they get picked up more politically?
This shooting got more attention because they found kids that were willing to step up and start playing on the emotions of the American people. Everything that gets any attention is based on emotion, not on fact.
But they were given a list of questions.
Well, the thing is, you know, I found out something about Emma Gonzalez. Do you want to hear something? I like Emma Gonzalez. I liked what she did. I loved her speech. It was very moving. But here's the deal about Emma Gonzalez. Emma Gonzalez was told to write that speech from Anderson Cooper. She met Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper says, well, if you have these feelings about guns, why don't you write a speech? And immediately the cameras are on her to do the speech. So yeah, this was somewhat of a staged event. You can't tell me that all of a sudden these kids wake up and have an opinion on things, and then when they have their little mock trial, which is what they did with all the meetings and yelling epithets that people are like saying, well, what about the Constitution? Screw you with the Constitution, all or nothing, get rid of the guns, all or nothing, oh, why? And the minute you question it, I remember the first time I said, you know, Emma Gonzalez and David Hogg are not crisis actors, but they are stringers. They are being used and exploited because they look good on camera and they have opinions that are very, very, very controversial, and they're opinions that fit the agenda of the mainstream media. Immediately a guy wrote me on Twitter and he says, you're a piece of shit for pushing this narrative. I said, what narrative am I pushing? I'm trying to say that they're not crisis actors, but I'm saying it's checkbook journalism again, it's pack journalism again, it's mimicking, and it's the same thing we get all the time. And the reason why there's so much interest in this is because they were able to successfully grab at the emotions of the American people. Emotion sells, facts suck. Truth hurts.
Got another question here.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Where?
So there's this new phenomenon that's been going on for several months, QAnon. I was wondering what your opinion was of it and the question format that's forcing people to actually go out and research these issues. And it seems like there's always a lead time before something comes out in the news to counteract it.
Well, I'll tell you what I think of QAnon. It's what I've always said about QAnon, and that is that I don't trust anybody that's not willing to come forward and put his name on anything. If you don't want to sign your name to anything, I don't trust you. Plain and simple. I mean, these things are easily used as red herrings to get conspiracy theorists to basically follow, and then when something comes out about them, everybody who's followed them has basically been fooled, and then that makes everybody look bad. You know,
what do you think of some of the proofs come out over time.
What proofs? It's like Nostradamus. I can prove that Nostradamus predict everything. I'm just not a fan of QAnon. I'm sorry. I wish that QAnon would come forward and give his real name. But the thing is he hasn't. And once again, we have another situation where you could be open for propaganda. This could be controlled opposition being put out by the government. It could be put out by somebody in the deep state. You don't know. So if you're going to be getting your information from somebody who's not willing to sign their name to the information they give, you're on your own, man. I mean, you know, when you work in the news business and we're working journalism, you have to have reliable sources that give you information. But QAnon doesn't even sign his name to anything. That's what's weird about this. I don't even read QAnon. And I'm probably the dumbest ass because I don't, because everybody wants me to say something about QAnon. I'm going to say it. QAnon, if you're real, if you're telling the truth, sign your fucking name to what you talk about. Plain and simple. I sign my name to everything I say and do. And if I say something is wrong, I will retract it. And I will do a whole show retracting it if I have to say that I said the wrong thing. But I'm not going to be like everybody else who tuck my tail between my legs and pretend like I'm some sinister cloak and dagger, whatever, because it's bullshit. It's just a way to get clicks on a damn website. If you want somebody that's true and that will be with you and will talk with you and will actually cite his name to something, then fine. If you're going to go after these mysterious, faceless experts, you're on your own. I feel the same way about what CNN does. Every time I watch CNN, they bring on all these people. I don't know who the hell they are, but they're here to tell me how I should live my life. What? They are the experts? Who are these experts? Who are these nameless phantom experts that I'm supposed to believe are going to help me with my life?
CIA operatives.
They're CIA operatives, exactly. Or yeah. So I'm sorry if you know I'm busting your chops on QAnon, but I've said before, I don't trust anybody that's not going to sign their name to what they're saying. And I remember there's a guy named Benjamin Fulford who actually said the same thing QAnon said and something he did, but he also said that Hillary Clinton and several of her cohorts were in Gitmo right now, and the Bushes were in Gitmo right now, and they were in jail, and that they were keeping that from the American people. Are you fucking kidding me? I can easily find out if that's true or false. And see, that's the thing. You've got to be careful in this information that comes out. You've got to be careful about who you listen to and what you decide you want to follow, because there's a lot of people out there that want to make a fool out of you.
Hey, Clyde.
Yeah.
You think we're going to see any prosecutions against the Clintons?
No. No, it's not going to be any prosecutions against the Clintons. Just like there was no prosecutions against Dick Cheney or Henry Kissinger or the Bushes or anyone else, because they're pretty much they're pretty much cliquish. They're all cliquish.
Insulated.
Yeah, you're not going to see Donald Trump, tear apart the Democratic Party. You're not going to see that happen. Everybody thinks that it's like you think that we're going to build a wall too. I don't think we're going to build a wall. Are you kidding me? You're going to have a wall built from California all the way through Texas. I mean, have you ever driven that? From California through Texas? Are you kidding me? I mean, you're going to have a wall that big and that long. I mean, it's a pipe dream. It's a selling tool. And I'm sorry, if people want to believe that this is what's going to happen, it's going to give you a big chubby to find out they're going to build a wall to keep people out. But you know what? Have you ever thought that maybe they're building a wall to keep you in? Just find out how that concertina wire is facing either you or them. And if it's facing you, you know they want to keep you in. They said the same thing about the wall when they built it in Berlin. And they kept people out, and they kept people in, and it was the most oppressive thing they ever had. So, you keep thinking that this is for our own good. It's like the same thing that I say to people when they say, well, we want to impeach Trump. I said, really? You want to impeach Trump? So if you impeach Trump, who do you think is going to take the place of Donald Trump? Mike Pence. Oh, the guy that says you can wash the gay away. That guy, right? That guy that's afraid to be in a bar alone because he's afraid he says, I want my wife in a room with me while I drink. Because I tell you why, because he's gay. That's what I hear, men who are, I've known a lot of men who say, I don't want to go into that bar because I'm gay. And that sounds what it sounds like to me, is that he's secretly a self-loathing homosexual who's afraid to go to a bar because he's afraid he's going to grab a dick or something. That, I mean, sure, we got a president who grabs pussy, but Pence grabs dick.
Secretly.
He's secretly. He's also, I think he's also a deep state operative myself. I really do. Because, and another thing too is like, look, I mean, I don't know what they think they're going to get if they impeach Trump. And if they want Mike Pence, then I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, we're looking at a guy who says you can wash the gay away. We're looking at a guy that can't stand in a room at a bar alone. We're looking at a guy who basically wants to have back alley abortions again. And I'm not exactly anti-life. I believe that a baby has a shot. But I also believe that if we go and we give draconian laws about abortion, you're going to have women going to back alleys getting butchered because they want to get babies out of them. I mean, we got to have a happy medium here. But Pence isn't going to have a happy medium. He's freaking just a scary son of a bitch. What's that? Well, yeah, that's another thing too. You're right. If you put Mike Pence, if you impeach Trump and put Pence in, he'll be the easiest one to get rid of in the next election. You're right. That's what they want. They want some guy who's going to be so bad, which he is, to be in power that, somebody, anybody, Antichrist, will look great sitting there in the throne room. Yeah. I mean, can people see how we're being set up for that? I mean, I don't want to push dispensationalist shit here, but I will. Antichrist is coming, baby. And you know what? They're making it look more and more appealing to say, well, we tried all these angels. Why don't we try the devil? We can't do too bad with the devil. At least with the devil, we know what we're getting.
And if they talk about it for 24 hours a day, you'll eventually believe it.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we can put Satan as president, and if they make it sound good, we'll go, yeah, that sounds good. We'll do that. And see, that's the thing, is that we are so ripe right now for, as I said, the cult of the oligarchs. We are open for the cult of the oligarchs. We are at a point in time where we're so desperate that the devil could walk in the room and be president of the United States. He could shoot somebody on live TV. Donald Trump said, I could go on the streets of New York, shoot somebody, and people still like me. It's true. I once said that Hillary Clinton could eat a baby on TV and they'd still want her for president. And it's true. It is so true, and the reason why is because we are desperate for leadership and we don't know where to turn. And you know what? They forget to tell us something. And you know what they forget to tell us? Listen to your own conscience.
And your own brain.
Listen to your own brain. Listen to your intuition. Hell, listen to the spirit and light of God inside of you. It's easy if you listen. It's easy if you have God with you. That's called enthusiasm. Okay? I am a long-term optimist, a short-term pessimist. In the short term, I don't see our way out of this. In the long term, I think things are going to be great. But that's only if we take on this short-term pessimism and find a way to get out of it into the long-term optimism. And it sounds very hard, but it's really not. We need to start relying on people we love, and we need to have more faith in people around us instead of leaving them into this pit of despair where they feel like they have nowhere to go and nowhere to turn. It sounds sappy, but hell, love does a lot to help people in this world. We always use victimhood as a currency. Why don't we ever use love as a currency? We've got Bitcoin, we've got Litecoin, we've got Dimecoin, we've got all these currencies that are made out of thin air. Why don't we start making love out of thin air? It's always there. It's always something we can rely on. It's always something that we ought to take a gamble with. And maybe, if we take a gamble with it, we just might win the lottery. Because I don't think God ignores you when you certainly are looking for Him. I've always been in that position because I've been at the point where I think to myself, all I've got is God right now. That's all I have. And that's enough for me. I don't need a president. I don't need an external savior. All I need is my good friend, God. That's all I need.
Hey, Clyde, we got a question here.
Sure.
Hey, so quick question. You were talking earlier about, I know you mentioned that like people were talking about Oprah Winfrey for president.
Yeah.
And the Obamas had a really, strong presence on TV and social media.
Yeah.
Trump is, he used to be a reality TV star. And I'm thinking, that reminds me an awful lot of the premise for Demolition Man, if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Where, they were talking about, in that movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the president. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they whitewashed everything in that movie. They made everything, their reality was dystopian because it was so coddled. Do you think, with the way things are going right now, in the way the media is being downplayed and we're being spoon-fed this garbage information all the time, that the future, if allowed to go the way people want it to, is going to end up like that?
Dystopia is always on the table, and the reason why is because of the fact that they have used a lot of dystopian ideas and ideologies as a blueprint for the future. It's kind of like retrocausality. We kind of know where it's all going to go. We don't know how it's going to get there. That's the whole point. But see, while we're sitting there knowing where it's going to go and how it's going to get there, we can actually avoid where it's going. And that's because, I mean, it's not something that's hopeless. It's really not something that's hopeless, but we tend to think it is because we've been told, we've been conditioned into thinking that the future is going to be nothing more than Mad Max, It's going to be desperation. But see, scarcity and desperation is created by the governments of the world. Okay? And take that from a page of Emmanuel Goldstein in 1984. The idea of people starving is not, I mean, the war is not meant to be won, it's meant to be continuous, because if you can keep people on the brink of starvation, they will work for you, and they will continue to work for you. You feed them, and you keep them happy, they don't do shit for you. And the government knows this. The government knows that if we keep them just hungry enough, they'll work. And so that's the thing, is that they will continue to try and manipulate you into thinking that you're not going to make it. They're banking on the fact that you're not going to make it. They're banking on the fact that your pharmacy or your doctor is going to kill you. They're banking on all that. And what you need to do is the best revenge is to do your best and to not let them shovel shit in front of you. Don't let the bastards grind you down. And people tend to do this. Sometimes it's hopeless. Sometimes you feel hopeless. But like I said, gather up the courage. Know who's on your side, know who your friends are, know who your neighbors are, and you know what? Together you can make it happen. I'm not at all pessimistic about the will and the attitudes of the American people. It's just we've been told so long now not to expect much. I think we should expect a lot more than what we're getting. I don't think we're entitled to it, but I think we should expect it. We should have higher expectations for ourselves because this is how it should be. And don't let them tell you otherwise. Don't let them get into your head. And they're trying to get into your head. And, I admit, sometimes it's hard for me too. I think, sometimes I think, oh, they're getting into my head. But, no, you try to think outside. That's why I have decided that I don't like politics. And people say, well, that's the part, when people call my show, they say, I listen to you all the time, and I don't necessarily agree with you. You know what they don't agree with? The fact that I say, drop your political bullshit. They don't believe that. They believe they have to have it. No, you don't. You're still an individual if you don't have your politics on your sleeve, and you're an American before you're anything else. You're an American before you're a Republican or a Democrat, and you know what you are above being an American? A child of God. And that is something you need to remember that too. How much time do I have? I do? Any other questions? We had to open for questions because I'm just like talking. I'm talking and talking and talking. Okay, go ahead over there. And then we'll go get him first. Okay.
I just was watching Fox News, and for quite a time I thought they were a cut above the others, but I've just now changed my mind. Do you have any opinion of all the major newscasters? I'm referring to internet, actually, CNN and the others.
I would say what I do and this is how I, on the internet, this is how I do it. You find news aggregators, which means you're looking for clip sites. And what you do is you look for the clips they decide or they show you, and you look them over, and then you make your own decisions. And there are plenty of them out there. There's blacklistednews.com. There's FAIR, F-A-I-R. There's SOT.net, which is signsofthetimes.net, which I look at. And what they do is they just aggregate news. They just basically take news clips and news stories and they put them together. There's also United News International, which I worked with Stanley Fields before. United News International, I really recommend because they are a news source that is not biased towards any political affiliation. In fact, I've been trying to get them to be the official news organization of Ground Zero, and I don't know, it's like hit and miss. I'm gonna have to call Stanley again and get him on board because I recommend highly United News International. They're out of Portland. They're out of Portland. And they are certainly a national news organization that aren't into combative news, and their news is quite objective and quite awesome. So I would say United News International. I would say, go to news aggregates. There are many I go to, dailysheeple.com. I go to blacklistednews.com, signsofthetimes.com. Sometimes I go to IntelliHub, Drudge Report. Those are just a few that I use, and that way I get and Flipboard. I go to Flipboard. Although the problem I have with Flipboard is that Flipboard, while they give you great information, because what they do is they provide you with a news source where you say these are the type of topics I want to read about, and then what they do is they search the internet for those topics you like, and so you're reading them. But sometimes they throw in stuff that I really don't like. And it becomes politically biased yet again. And so you're getting these politically biased reports that are either too left-leaning or too right-leaning, and I just turn off them and I start hearing, opinions that are obviously being interjected that are political.
So, you have another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I know you want to avoid, political labels, and I want to delve into that for just a second. So I was born in the 60s, raised in the 70s, and I think what the establishment has feared for the longest time is the far right and the far left figuring out that actually we've got a lot of things in commonality. And I think that what it is people struggling for an identity. So a good identity is be American. As long as people in this room can define it. But I can remember in the 70s, hippies were into health food and things like that. And now, we're hearing about GMOs and chemtrails and all this stuff. So now we're into health food too. But that doesn't mean we're hippies. But we're probably, far right. There's probably far left people in the room too. And, but that's the thing. And I think where you're driving at with that, Clyde, is, and it's an excellent goal. It's what we should all aspire to, is to avoid division. Because divided we stand, together, together we stand, divided we fall.
Right. Well, I have conservative views and I have liberal views. I have a mixture, okay? I'm not putting myself in a hole here, but some people believe that if they're conservative, everything they do has to be conservative and it has to be a certain way, and they're not going to let anybody know that they may have a few liberal views. And see, that's the problem, is that if you're just a normal individual, you're going to have viewpoints that may be looked upon and labeled as conservative, and you may have something that's considered liberal. But the problem with that is the bias and the prejudice and the bigotry that comes with it, and the sectarianism that used to be limited to the Middle East, which now is happening here in the United States. And they say, well, then obviously you're liberal. No, I'm a person who believes that if you have somebody in your life that you're in love with, be in love with that person and live a happy life. What's wrong with that? Nothing. But people get all worked up about shit like this, and they all turn it into some political. Everything's political now. Everything. I went and saw the Black Panther film. How many have seen that? Black Panther? A couple? Isn't that a freaking amazing movie? It was a great film. But you know what made it suck? All the political commentary about it afterwards. And the film was pretty much not about whether or not blacks need this or blacks need that. The film was about an advanced civilization that's living in plain sight in Africa called Wakanda, and it's the most amazing place ever, and the most amazing people are there that still have stuck to their tribal traditions and yet are advanced. Now, what can you say that about a civilization that they stick to their traditions, their ideologies, but yet they're more advanced? Here, we throw out our ideologies, we fuck our history, and we ignore everything in our past because we think that it's not important anymore. And so we have people tearing down statues and destroying buildings and doing everything because they want to remove that and make us forget about it. But you know what? You can't erase history, bad or good. You can't erase it, and you need to learn from it. And that's the thing, is that we need to stop this. We need to just be Americans and be loving of one another, accepting of one another, and stop judging people. We are not the perfect little angels we think we are. And we're certainly not as free as we think we are either.
Hell no. Okay, we have time for one more question.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like a lot of our media and a lot of the news is all focused on keeping us looking at our divisions, how we're different, instead of looking at how we're alike.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's an agenda.
Yes.
Because if we're divided, we're not going to help each other. We're not going to say, hey, you're human just like me, you're hurting.
Mm-hmm.
So we're easier to control when we're divided. Or is it just like my weird imagination?
No, it's not a weird imagination at all. That's the whole idea behind what I was talking about. When I was talking about Agenda 2030, Summit 2030. The thing is that they have to shove diversity down our throats, and as they do it, they make us divided. They're saying, you know, and it's getting to the point, and how many people have seen the movie Get Out? It was an Academy Award-winning film. I love that film, and the reason why I love that film is because of the message it sends. And I think that it should have gotten more Academy Awards because of the message it sends. And I've talked with this. I have a producer that I talked to him about this, and some of my friends that when I used to live in Kenton, I used to hang out and talk about this all the time. But there's something going on. You know, you always hear about white supremacy, and you hear about white privilege, and you hear about all this stuff. But what you don't hear about is black fetishism. And what black fetishism is you have uppity liberal people who are white that basically treat black people as if they couldn't wipe their ass unless they had a program to have it wipe it for them. And they basically make them out to be handicapped, they make them out to be little and to be sad and downtrodden and unhappy. And so what that does is that puts them in a situation where immediately they say, well, we got to do something for the put upon black people. And they're constantly behind these programs, they're constantly behind this and that, this insensitivity bullshit. And what they're really doing is they're fetishizing black people. And you ask one of them if they've gone into a black neighborhood to help a black neighbor out, and they say, no. They want to sit there and say that we're bad for doing what we're doing, but they're not willing to go into a black neighborhood and help their friends because they're not their friends. They don't care. All they care about is whether or not they have a campaign to say that they did this for the black people. That's fetishism. That's bullshit. You either love people for who they are and not the color of their skin, or you don't love at all. And you don't pretend like you give a shit, and you don't care when somebody that you know is down and out and you need to help them out. Gay, straight, black, white, red, whatever. Doesn't matter. We're people. We all bleed the same color. We all smell the same in the bathroom. So get over ourselves and let's start living with one another. Well, they tell me they're going to give me the hook. But I just want to tell you, that I really appreciate y'all coming out tonight and letting me bitch, and you guys bitch with me, and we love it. I love how this room, every time we do a Ground Zero Lounge, I just love the fact that people can get together in a room like this, both liberal and conservative, gay, straight, black, white, whatever. You're all here because you all find a need to find equilibrium and happiness, and I think that's amazing. If we're starting here, you can imagine if everybody did this, if other people organized their own groups where we could all find out that we really want the same things. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. By the way, I'll be sitting over here saying hello, signing things. We have a few objects to sign and all kinds of stuff, so come on by. And And hopefully I'll sing karaoke or something later. I can build out Love Gun if you want. Anyway, all right, thank you all for coming out. Thank you so much.